Oh, no.
No, we got,
I had all of them. Whenever you are ready.
Nick, do you need a second?
you need a minute? You okay? Okay. All right, we're calling the meeting to order, the Parks Board meeting here at the City Council Chambers. It's Wednesday, May 6th, and it is 5:30 p.m. or thereabouts. So we'll start out with citizens' comments on matters within the board's jurisdiction and items that are not on the agenda.
Do you want to take a roll call?
I skip over the roll call all the time. Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, Luke Russell,
Here.
Roger, Rod,
Here.
Mary Dell,
Here.
Sarah here, and Mitch.
Absent.
Just want to say from the outset, I think the mayor's probably a little envious because you never get a crowd like this at city council meetings.
Might.
Maybe that's a good thing. So anyhow, we did the roll call. Now we're going to start with citizens' comments on matters within the board's jurisdiction, items that are not on the agenda. Before we start that, I want to make sure that everybody understands that when we get into our agenda items, our discussion items, we will allow discussions from the audience, from the citizens during that time, after our presentations and after the board has had the opportunity to ask questions and do their discussion. But you will be limited to 3 minutes for your comments. And then at the end of the agenda, before we adjourn, we always have another section for citizen comments on matters within the board jurisdiction, again, not on the agenda. So Barb, I saw your hand. Would you like to come up?
Are we gonna have them just stand in their place today like we talked about?
Yeah.
Members of the board, Mayor, Mike. Barb Beck, for the record, here to just give you a quick update on the tennis court project, and I know that's why everyone's here. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, hopefully you got a briefing paper today, a one-pager. And so we're just keep moving along, and we want to just keep touching base with you guys and make sure if you have any questions, we're here to answer those. We're still very hopeful for construction this fall. We're in the final push to raise the rest of our money, and until we get bids in, we won't know exactly how much we're going to need. We may be there already. We may need up to $200,000 more. So that's what we're working on, and the engineers are busy putting together the bid package. We don't yet have approval from the council. And they're going to take that up when we get the money and get the bids out and they come back in at a reasonable amount. So that's all sort of hanging fire. 2 MOUs, one with the council, one between the school and the council. So any questions about that?
Any update on the trees?
No, I haven't gotten a quote yet, but Jennifer Lyman has agreed to do a landscape plan for the site.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. Any questions from the board?
All right, good luck tonight.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thanks, Barb.
Thanks, Barb.
Before we go on to the next comment, Luke reminded me, one of the things that we've talked about doing is, if you have a comment, just stand up at your place. You don't have to come walk up to the front if you don't want to. We've got a pretty good crowd here. Getting in and out might be difficult. So you don't have to walk all the way to the gauntlet up here to go to
Please
the
use your
microphone.
outside voice.
Yes, please.
You can't hear me back there?
No.
Okay. Are
I
we-
was talking to them, but you too, apparently.
So what I was saying is, if you have a comment during citizens' comments, typically you walk up like Barb did, but we're going to be a little more informal from here on out. If you'd like to, you can just stand and give your comment. And that way you don't have to worry about if you're sitting in the rows trying to work around people to work your way up here. Okay? Any other citizens' comments not on the agenda? How about out there in Zoom land? Any comments?
Tell who's on.
The mayor can tell.
I'm sorry, I was one task at a time. What's the question?
Do we have any comments from the Zoom audience?
From online? I see one iPad that is not on mute. I see no raised hands. If you're online and would like to speak, raise your hand, please, or turn on a camera. Mr. Chairman, I see no comments online.
Okay, we will move on to the discussion items. And the first action item is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes of the April 1st, 2026 meeting?
Move to approve.
My second.
There were some surnames misspelled, I've
Sorry.
shared. Yeah, I've already shared that with you, and we're gonna get,
I'm fired.
we're gonna get it corrected.
Okay.
Sorry,
I know.
folks that are here. I will fix it.
Squared away.
All right, we'll get those fixed. Well, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Agenda and minutes are approved. The next item is the chairperson's report. I only have a couple items to go over. We had a question from the board about the tree situation out at the tennis courts, and Mike and I met out at Coal Miners Park here about 2 weeks ago. And we just kind of kicked around some ideas about where some trees could be planted. We don't really have anything, situated or anything decided yet at this point. We have a lot of time, but to make those decisions, if we are going to transplant those trees, there happen to be some spaces that are probably adequate for transplanting those trees. And I'm kind of making a list of those at this time. The other item we have is, I just want to mention that I met both with Steve Ritz here about a week or so ago, I think, and Right, I'm sorry, and we walked around, looked at the project site, and then about several days later, I met with Mr. Greg O'Neill, and we did the same thing. So, I want to let the board know that I've been out there kind of running amok on the proposed project site. And the other item I have is that I've been contacted by a lady from Anaconda, Montana. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me now? From Anaconda, Montana, who wants to donate a tree in memory of her cousin, and she'd like to have it planted in the city park somewhere. Mike and I have talked about that. We're working out arrangements that what we probably will do is we'll probably have her contact Baldwin's Nursery directly and order trees that are similar or the same size that we used in our Arbor Day plantings. And she will just pay them directly. Either volunteers or maybe help with the city crew will plant the tree for her. And at this time, she's not interested in having a memorial plaque placed with the tree. It'll just be a tree, hopefully in a public area. So I'm kind of scouting up some areas there. If you have any suggestions for trees on the board here or sites to plant a tree, just let me know, and we'll take a look at that. Any questions on the chairperson's report from the board?
No, sir.
No? Okay.
Thank you for taking care of those things.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure. Okay, next up is a recommendation for the proposal for the West Bench Trail. And Nick Gaddy is here representing Beartooth Trails, and he has a presentation that he'd like to give. Nick, it's yours.
The chair? Chair time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you guys good back there? Can everyone see? Do you want to, okay. Yeah, feel free to camp out on the floor.
Come in the room.
Let's sit here too.
Yeah, we have two chairs up here.
Nick, they can sit up here too during the.
Yeah, we got two chairs up here.
No takers.
All right, well, I'm going to get started. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. My name is Nick Gaddy. I'm the Executive Director of Beartooth Trails, and I'm excited to be here this evening to talk about this proposed land donation and trail construction. I really do think it's a great opportunity for Red Lodge, and it's something that will improve our community. Kind of shooting from the hip on this first page of my first page of notes is somewhere out there. So I had the quote, part of the reason I am here is that the city and Beartooth Trails have this kind of awkward relationship as far as development of trails within city limits. I was going to read from our MOU, but basically our duty within our MOU is to identify projects and then talk about design and construction for those projects. So that is part of why I am here and why we're doing that. So I'm going to kind of go through a where, what, why process here, kind of talk about the project. And I really hope that at the end of the meeting, everybody on the Parks Board and then everybody in the public feels like they're more informed about this project, that they've received the details they're looking for. And I'm excited to hear the comments as well. So yeah, I wanted to start with a little, just a little history, a little timeline. This trail project is not new this year. Some of you might think that it's actually not the case. It's been proposed a number of times before. The most recent time was in 2024, right after I started in my current job. It was proposed as a land donation or land swap with the city for a section of city land up on top of the West Bench. So I looked into it then. Ultimately, that did not happen because the city chose to swap a separate parcel of property with Mr. O'Neill. So I thought the project was dead. We've been working on another way to get a pathway down Brewery Hill. That didn't work, so we've been kind of looking for other options. And so I was pretty excited when Mr. O'Neill brought it to my attention in December 2025 that he was interested in donating a section of his property for a trail. And then in January 2026, the mayor and Mr. O'Neill and I met to look at the hillside. These are the renderings that I was given as far as like what our parameters were for where we could design the trail. We don't have the whole hillside to design. We have a 1 acre parcel to build the trail within. So these are kind of the rough drawings that we were given. That was kind of what we've been working with. And after that meeting, Mr. O'Neill suggested, and I quote, "I think we should walk the probable trail to make sure the initial acre survey can accommodate the switchbacks you think might be necessary for safe transit." So that is why we flagged the route. That is why we did some design stuff so that we could gather information to see if a trail was feasible there, and also so we could present that information to the Park Board. So here I have, there's like a delay from the screen. This is kind of the Red Lodge surveying. This is the official survey boundary right now. So you can see our trail is outlined in blue, and then the survey markers for the property are surrounding it in white there. So that is kind of what has been officially surveyed. So then the next part is where. So the trail's upper terminus, that upper section by Airport Road. So right as you cross Airport Road on the Airport Loop Trail, is the Airport Loop Trail head south. This trail will head north, cross that existing fence line, which won't be there anymore, and then it'll switch back its way down to a parcel of city property, which is kind of up here with the blue and the green. That is a chunk of city land that's zoned as a park. And so our proposal is that, this is our current alignment in the dotted line, and then once you enter the city park, you're either able to continue down the North Adams extension, which is in blue, also on Nutting Street in blue, or straight down A Street, which is in green. So kind of where, and then I'm going to just zoom out for one picture, so you can kind of get a better idea of where this is within the city of Red Lodge. But it has really great proximity to the IGA. It's 2 blocks from the IGA, 2 blocks from the library, from Lions Park. It's close to Field School Park, and just generally has good access to downtown. So cool. So this is going to be the what, kind of like what we are proposing for trail details. And I want to be clear that this is not, that these proposals are not set in stone. This is like our best guess at this point. We have a pretty good outline, but we're still willing to accept input for it. So we're proposing a trail that is similar to, but definitely narrower than the Wellness Trail behind the Beartooth Wellness Clinic and the McGillen Trail. We are proposing a 5-foot wide trail that can accommodate multiple users simultaneously, and we're doing that so that it reduces user conflict. So if you're pushing a stroller uphill and someone is walking downhill, that there isn't like an awkward, that you can go past each other, that it has smooth flow of traffic. The McGillen Trail and the Wellness Trail are both significantly wider than 5 feet, so it'll be narrower than those existing trails. We realize that, drainage is going to be very important. As with all trails, drainage is an important thing. So we're proposing that on the uphill side of the trail, there'll be a lateral drain that will catch moisture coming out of the hillside. And then there will be 3 drainage dips or potentially like water bars that will be on each section of trail between the switchbacks. So that'll direct moisture away from the trail and prevent erosion of the trail. It's also designed to be 9.9% grade, so like part of the problem with McGillen Street Trails, it's currently like 14 or 15% in that middle section, which is why it has so many issues with erosion during heavy rain. So, so this like, inside edge, that would be where the lateral drain will go on the uphill side of the base of the back cut of the trail. So this is just for everybody, so when I use some of these terms, back slope, back cut, you can kind of understand what we're talking about. And we're also, we're definitely going to propose using erosion netting, that's biodegradable, something like that to prevent erosion on the back slope until it's been seeded with something that can help make the soil more stable. So. Cool. So yeah, in our role as trail constructors, we contacted Purcell Sand and Gravel for trail construction. Russ has experience building trails in Red Lodge. He built the Wellness Trail behind the hospital, and he also built all the trails that are currently at Coal Miners Park. So he definitely knows how to do it. He's walked the site with me, and he's agreed to help us out. And we're also going to use, we definitely are a little concerned about loose rock on the hillside during construction. So you can see these pictures at the bottom are what's called like a wire-backed silt fencing. We can put multiple rows, like Beartooth Trails will purchase that. We'll establish multiple rows with these green fence posts so that if any rocks get away, that they're caught before they leave the property, and we don't want it to go through anyone's backyard. I'm missing a photo there, but wanted to talk. I had a photo up here of the embankment. This is just where we were going to propose a ramp on the embankment area as you leave this proposed donated property and enter the city property. The embankment there is quite wet, it's very steep, and we think cutting into the hillside there would probably just create a lot of maintenance issues in the future. And so we think that, this is just a rough idea, I found on the internet of what a ramp, an example of a ramp would look like, but that section would have a ramp on it before you then jump onto this donated section trail and continue on like a gravel surface trail. We're going to talk about trail users. Yeah, we think that this would be a wonderful trail for everybody who's a non-motorized trail user. We're talking walkers, bikers, stroller pushers, horses. Believe it or not, on the McGillen Trail during 4th of July, people do ride their horses up that trail to access the parade, access the rodeo, and we think that that is totally just fine. So signage. Signs are an important part of trail infrastructure, and we definitely intend to use trail signs to help inform users. One of the issues with the space that we're building trails, we do have stacked switchbacks, right? And stacked switchbacks encourage users to cut switchbacks as it's a more direct route. Some of these signs, like on the bottom left, are pretty common in the Tetons. You see them at every single switchback in the Garnet Canyon. And so this is just another example. We do something that says, please stay on trail, do not cut switchbacks. And then also, a quiet zone sign or some sign that lets users know that they're entering a residential area of homes, and they encourage them to be respectful about noise while using the trail. It'll also have, the top and bottom will also just have a kind of our Rocky Fork Trail signs that are currently exist out on the airport loop. It'll have a map of the trail system, kind of some other information there as well. And then also informational signs. So we think that these informational signs could provide a good education benefit to trail users. This is a picture of one that we installed down at Coal Miners Park. Talks about riparian zones. So the upper sign, it's near the airport trail, would face the mountains, and we talk about the geology of the Beartooth Uplift, or as Roger mentioned, maybe have a silhouette of the skyline, and would name mountains and features that are visible on the landscape there. So you have one for Red Lodge Mountain or Town Point, something interesting like that. And then the lower or middle sign, wherever we decide to put that sign, can include information about the High Bug neighborhood, its history, or Red Lodge in general. I think that would be kind of an interesting informational sign. Benches. Most of our current trails in Red Lodge have some benches on them so that users can, take a break, catch their breath, take in the scenery. So I marked here on the map with these red X's where we proposed some benches. We have one at the top, one kind of in the middle, and then one at the bottom in the section of City Park. And Mr. O'Neill has offered to pay for at least the upper and lower ones already. He would like to see some. And then maintenance. So some of you in the crowd may not know this, but currently Beartooth Trails maintains all of the trails within city limits. So we are already doing that. You know, each year staff and volunteers spend hundreds of hours maintaining our trails. You know, this is part of our MOU with the city, so we're responsible for that. And I do think that this trail will require plenty of maintenance, but we're ready for that. We would definitely assume responsibility for the trail maintenance. We would add it to our Adopt a Trails program. We would assign a volunteer to be the Adopt a Trails ambassador for that section of trail. I think there's some people in here right now who are currently Adopt a Trails ambassadors. And then we would use volunteer trail work days each year to continue with maintenance on the trail. So yeah, now we're going to kind of move into the why. I think understanding and explaining the why is important to understanding this project's purpose. There are a number of reasons why this trail is important to Red Lodge and its community benefit. And the first one is safety. You know, as we've all observed, many residents currently use the shoulder of Highway 78 to travel between the West Bench and Red Lodge. And that this is a serious safety issue. According to the Federal Highway Administration, annually in the United States, 4,500 pedestrians are killed in traffic crashes. Pedestrians killed while, quote, walking along a roadway account for almost 8% or 360 of these fatalities. This trail will provide a safer alternative to walking next to Highway 78 and can prevent Red Lodge from being a part of one of these tragic statistics. The next one is active transportation. Red Lodge currently only has one trail from the West Bench into town over at McGillen Street. You know, so despite the increased residential growth on the West Bench, developments like Remington Ranch, the golf course, and the Spire subdivision, we still have not kept pace with accessibility into town. So this lack of trail connectivity prevents residents and visitors from using active transportation. This trail will also serve a diverse population and a community that may otherwise not have access to transportation, other transportation opportunities. When I was general manager of the Red Lodge Pizza Company, I can think of one employee in particular who lives in Mountain View Apartments. He does not have a driver's license, he does not own a vehicle, and he walks to and from work every single day into Red Lodge on Highway 78. When he needs to get his groceries, he walks down Highway 78 to get his groceries. You know, and I think of him often when I've been working on a trail down Brewery Hill or this project, some type of safe alternative for people to be able to access our downtown. You know, I think that there needs to be a good way for people to be able to walk from the West Bench into Red Lodge is not Highway 78. The relationship between trails and community health has been really well studied. There's a ton of studies out there, more than I can even talk about tonight. And these studies show that trails improve community health. I'd really like to highlight this 2014 study by the American Journal of Health. According to this study, there is a direct and significant measurable correlation between how close people live to biking and walking infrastructure and the amount of weekly exercise they get. The results show that those living within less than a mile of new trails were getting, on average, 45 minutes more exercise a week after the trails were built than they were before they had that available infrastructure. The amount of increased exercise per week went down the further away people lived from the new trails, but those benefits were still seen up to for those who live 2.5 miles away. Here's what that looks like. That outside ring is a 2.5 mile radius. The nearest ring is a 1 mile radius. So, you know, this trail will clearly benefit the health and well-being of all of the residents of Red Lodge, not just people on the north side of town, but this study shows, and you can see it right there, it'll benefit everyone who lives within Red Lodge city limits and beyond. The trail also has these studies show that with trails is saying if you build it, they will come as extremely apt. People will use these trails if available to them in their community, and due to that, citizens are getting exercise they wouldn't otherwise be benefiting from. I would also like to highlight Dr. Goodman's statement that, and I quote, "These findings support the case for changing the environment to promote physical activity by making walking and cycling safer, more convenient, and more attractive." The importance of active transportation is not just important for health and safety, but it's also important for our local economy. The 2016 City of Red Lodge Active Transportation Plan states, quote, investments in active transportation can be a boon to local economies by attracting new residents, new employers, more visitors, and more high-paying jobs while making people safer, healthier, and cutting health care spending by governments, employers, and individuals. Finally, with economics, probably the most well-studied area of community trails is how those trails increase home values in the neighborhoods that surround them. This trail will, you can look at the statistics up here, and there's many more that I couldn't fit into my presentation, but it's clear that the trails increase home values in the neighborhoods that they surround. You know, this trail would be an important free recreation resource in our community in perpetuity. You know, future generations will be able to access this city property for fun, to go on walks with each other, go on runs, to see the natural world. You know, and this proposal also increases city park land and public green space. The next part I'm going to talk about is supporting city documents. This trail proposal is not new. It's been documented for at least 20 years in official city documents. And I want to be clear that these are city documents that have already been adopted by the City Council. They are Red Lodge city documents. So when we look at, you know, why they're important, I want to also remind the Parks Board of their mission, which is the mission of the Red Lodge Parks, Trees, and Recreation Board is to protect, enhance, and maintain parks, facilities, natural resources, open space, trails, trees, and plants by developing and, most importantly, executing the Parks Plan, Trails Plan, and Urban Forestry Plan. The oldest study we've got is the 2006 Comprehensive Trails Plan. And this land donation solves the biggest challenge that was identified during that study. You know, that building a trail would require some sort of land easement or land acquisition. You know, so for 20 years, this challenge has prevented a trail from being built on the West Bench. Like there was no property to do it on. So it seems, you know, that the city should accept this gift and make a 2-decade-old dream come true. Again, in 2015, the Comprehensive Parks Plan, you know, if you read the slide here, you know, one of the greatest challenges to that 75% of respondents for the online polls of the 2015 Comprehensive Parks Plan, you know, 75% of those respondents indicated they would like more linear parks, trail corridors, and pathways, which was a higher percentage of support than any other type of park. 58% of respondents felt connecting parks with trails is the most important policy for parks planning, which was the highest percentage of the 16 listed categories. Also, walking for pleasure is the most common outdoor activity for Red Lodge City residents. So now moving on to the 2016 Active Transportation Plan. Trails and greenways provide pleasant transportation alternatives for commuting to work and to school. This was the third listed priority of the 2016 Active Transportation Plan, behind wayfinding signs and improved sidewalks. You know, so again, the donation of this land makes this land acquisition challenge a non-issue. Jumping ahead more recently, the 2025 Red Lodge Growth Plan shows support for this trail as well. Moving forward, quoting the middle line there, moving forward, the city should continue to seek funding for the maintenance of existing trails and explore opportunities for trail easements to build more connected trail systems between the city and county, fostering more walkable communities. So these are some of the 2023 growth policy surveys. I don't know if all of you took this survey, but I certainly did. Have 302 responses, and almost all of these, like the questions that had trails, were seen very positively. So most respondents asked here, it's kind of really hard to see that. It's like even easier to see on my computer. But, you know, what would you like most about downtown Red Lodge? And it's walkability, like overwhelmingly. That is what people like the most about our downtown. Question 10 was, what is your mode of transportation within the city? Vehicles win by 85.33%, but walking was right behind it at 84.33%, and bikes were right behind that at 42.33%. So question 11 was, if you drive to downtown Red Lodge, what would encourage you to walk or bike instead? And the number one reason, with 45.33%, was more connecting trails to downtown. So I also did that on there. This is from the most recent resort tax survey, which had 524 responses. The third most popular response was trails. The quote that I had from it was, recreation is the primary vision investment, especially, I think it's like the ice rink, parks, and trails. So I want to take some time to address the concerns that have been raised about the project. I think that they're important, and if people have more concerns, definitely willing to listen. But I do want to mention before we talk about concerns that I found a 2012 study of 26 subjects that cites that the benefits of trails outweigh the negatives to adjacent owners. The study found that qualitative benefits to property owners, including access to recreation and the natural world and connection to neighbors, far outweigh the negative effects of living adjacent to a multi-use trail. So first we'll talk about privacy. Excuse my rendering, it's the best I could do on Canva. But in discussions with adjacent landowners, one of the primary concerns was privacy. And so we've offered to build a living fence both above the trail, which is the picture on the left there. It's kind of a picture looking down. The trail will go above those trees on the high side of that, but also a picture of the neighboring house there as it comes into the city property. And, we're open to ideas about what type of tree or shrub could be, planted there to provide that privacy. Slope stability is another concern, specifically that the construction of a trail on this slope would result in what we call mass wasting or slumping. I did walk the trail with a professional engineer who works as a geotechnical engineer at the Sabine Stillwater Mine. He had no concerns about the slope stability. I believe you guys received a letter from him. And there really are plenty of examples along the west and east benches of roads and trails that have been built without resulting in any mass wasting. I included two pictures in the bottom corners of the McGillen Street Trail, which was built without any geotechnical engineering. Skip Boyer just went in and built it, but it has not had caused any mass wasting anywhere since it was built. It's been there for over 20 years. And then again, if you add this like jute netting or erosion netting and reseed the hillside, that you can prevent erosion by doing that. Noise is another concern that has been brought up, and I think that signage like this, that just kind of encourages users to be respectful of residential areas goes a long way. Can we stop everybody from talking on the hillside? No, but I think that having some signage at the top and bottom of the trail will go a long way. Anyone who's been to the 8th Street Nutting will know that there is not really any room for additional parking there. Certainly not any room for a trailhead. We are not proposing a trailhead, and we would actually be in favor of no parking signs on the east side of the park to discourage parking there. I did live for a long time one house away from 16th Street and McGillen Street, where the current McGillen Street Trail comes out onto McGillen and 16th, and I cannot recall ever seeing anyone parking there to then use the trail to go up to the airport loop. So I just don't think I think it's going to be for city residents to be traveling from their homes up onto the bench. Finally, environmental impact. Sorry, there's another missing photo there. But yeah, concerns have been raised about removing the plum trees in the park. And I think that we had proposed an alternative through there just to make the grade reduce, but I'm not attached to that. I think that if folks would like to go, exit the trail going downhill, and they can go either straight down the 8th Street right-of-way or continue down north on the Adams Street extension, that I think that that's just fine. But I would like to reiterate that, we don't consider this trail to be destructive. We consider it to be an enhancement of the city park. And to reread that doctor's statement from the health study that these findings support the case for changing the environment to promote physical activity by making walking and cycling safer, more convenient, and more attractive. So in conclusion, the evidence is clear that trails provide a multitude of benefits and have positive impact for communities. And I really think that years from now, you guys as Parks Board members will look back on your time volunteering on the Parks Board and look at this project and think that you helped do something that made Red Lodge a better place to live. Not just now, but in the future as well. So I urge you to approve this land donation and trail construction and positively recommend this project to the city council. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Do you have any questions from members of the board?
I just want to get a clarification about the exit or the entrance. The plum tree will stay,
Yep, good.
it could, I mean,
It can.
it
can.
Okay.
Again, I don't consider that to be destructive, but, you know, if that's, you know, I mean, if that's, I heard the concerns, and, you know, I think that trail users will probably continue straight down A Street anyways, and so spending the time and money and, you know, removing those trees only to have people totally ignore that section of trail would just not make a ton of sense.
And the route through that area will be up to the height of walkers.
Correct, yep, yes, you would like, I think that, you know, some signage reflects something along the lines of like, you know, if you're pushing a stroller, for example, or riding a bike, then maybe you head north on Nutting, up that North Adams extension, and then you access the trail from there. You know, if you want to just head straight up that 8th Street extension, you're more than welcome to do that. And then, you know, as we kind of, you know, as we build the trail, we can see how users are interfacing with that park. You know, if it does seem like it's necessary to build an additional trail in there, then, you know, we can revisit it at that time.
I think that's all I have for now.
Any other questions?
Will there be any signing on 78? You know, people are already walking down there. Is there gonna be something that says, hey, you know, you can go this way?
I haven't really thought of that.
That's a great question.
I think, yeah, I mean,
Why
I
not?
think most folks are probably, you know, if they're up on top of the bench, they're gonna park at, yeah, I mean, I think if you live in Red Lodge, you would know how to access it, but I think more wayfinding signs is always gonna be a better idea, you know?
Just something to
Yeah, to help
consider.
direct people
Yep.
into town.
Because there's already that path that goes up to the apartments and then
Mm-hmm. Yep.
could
Along
continue.
Highway 73, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, just for the airport road trail, you know, Wayfair signing just directly to that would be helpful.
Yeah, you know, and we haven't updated the new trail signs yet, because we're kind of waiting to see what happens here, so we can include this trail into the map of the overall Rocky Ford Trail system. You know, I think something, you know, as you cross airport, you know, Airport Road on the trail, you know, something that's like downtown with an arrow would help most users kind of like, oh, this is where I want to go, and save them from going all the way down to the gazebo or down to McGill Street or something like that.
Nick, can you talk a little bit about the composition of the trail surface?
Yeah, so we, you know, Russ uses a computer that like helps him mix gravel and bentonite, and bentonite just helps make the trail surface a little drier. So that's what's currently at Coal Miners Park. Like if you walk into those trails, that's the same composition that we'll use, and it's compacted. You know, it's sturdy. It holds up really well.
Yeah, thank you.
What was it, Ben?
Bentonite, yeah. And it's like computer mixed, so it's like you know, close to perfect as you can get in the mix.
It's a clay.
Untold.
Any other questions? Nobody?
No, but can I just ask if we're gonna allow comments now for the side comments to be minimal? Just because it allows us to hear in the recording to pick up who's actually speaking, especially since you're staying in the audience. That would be helpful.
And we'd like to have you state your name too, when you do that. And we will hold you to the 3 minutes, requirement. The other, before we get started, the other, comment I'd like to make is that let's not kind of repeat the same points time after time after time. I know that a lot of you here, and you're probably all concerned about several of the same points. Once a point has been made, you know, if you could stand up and say, I agree with that point, but let's not just kind of rehash the point forever. Steve, I think you had
I
a,
have a question for Nick. So it's my understanding that coming from the private property down to the city property on 8th, there will be no switchbacks there.
Correct, yeah, as of right now.
Okay.
Can you elaborate? What do you mean as of now?
I mean, I think if people, you know, if we find that there's an issue for users, then the city should revisit that. You know, we should reconsider it another time, but, you know, that was the main concern. And so I think we'll let people choose which way they would like to exit on the city property. There are 2 decent alternatives right now. And I also just think from a practical standpoint, we could spend the money, we could remove those trees, we could put a trail in. But I just think that if you come out and you see a straight shot down 8th Street, that's probably the way you're gonna go. And that, you know, there's no point in building that trail if no one's going to use it, so.
And if you're heading to the north, you would take probably.
Yeah, if you're gonna
the
go
old
to the
avenue
northward anyway,
track
you probably
road,
just
right.
walk down that existing extension, so we'll just kind of like explore that for now.
Would you mind standing up, please?
All right, but interesting, has Mr. O'Neill removed his caveat that he will pull out if?
That's a question for the city, I'm not gonna answer that question.
Well, he's not here to,
Yeah, we don't know.
he's not here to answer that question,
Okay,
so.
well,
Yeah, I'm here for trail construction, so.
okay, well, I thought that the construction, was on 8th Street. And, that was the caveat of having the land donation.
I guess if this project moves forward with a positive recommendation from the board and it goes to the city council, I guess that, you know, that would be answered at that time. Beth?
Can I, sorry, Paula, can someone just clarify exactly what the caveat is? I'm not aware of that, and I just want to make sure we're grabbing your comment fully.
Well, initially, Mr. O'Neill said he would not donate the land if the trail did not go down 8th Street.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification, Beth.
Beth Hutchinson. I have a background of like 7 years in studying landscape architecture. And when we first began with my class, one of the things that was put forth is that there's a different way of seeing things between landscape architecture and engineering. And I'm hearing engineering, and I want to talk about landscape architecture. I think this trail is a superb idea. I think that what we have that hasn't actually been defined is an interface between the urban area and the wilder area. And I think that a lot of people's concerns can be addressed if we think about entering out of the urban area, but still within it, into a wilder area. And I think that interface area of the beginning is where landscape architecture in particular can come in, because I heard a really fabulous report on this project tonight. And then as we started talking about it and shooting straight down 8th Street, I got a little bit agonized. I think that there do need to be some very gentle switchbacks, which serve also to protect the plum trees and to develop relationships between the trail and the adjacent property owners. I threw together some casual sketches if anybody wants to see them. There need to be certain amenities when you're in the urban area, perhaps a little bit more seating as you're progressing up, a little bit more vegetation that transforms from, say, things like hawthorn trees and some other things that will shield the houses as you pass by gently. You'll still be able to see through. We will not see a line of trees, things like that. And I would like to offer to work in conjunction with you guys, because I think this is one of the most exciting things that's hit this town.
Beth, would you at the end of the meeting like to give us those plans?
Yeah.
We can make copies and forward
Yeah.
them to Nick as well?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ailey Neely, and I live in downtown Red Lodge, and I don't have a car, so I don't drive, and I just like to voice my support for the trail. Having more connectivity from town to the bench is really helpful for people who don't have vehicles.
Okay,
Awesome.
Thank you.
very good, thank you.
Well, I did have a couple of questions, but I also have a 3-minute presentation I'd like to have time to.
Okay, can we take some other
Oh,
comments
absolutely.
first and then come back to you?
Okay.
Okay, very good.
My name's Gail Mann. I'm currently the coffee vendor at your 4th of July rodeo. I just want to throw support in here saying we are now selling out our rodeo on the 4th of July. The amount of cars that are coming through. I know we use the Renaissance Festival parking was a big issue, so I just want to say that these trails are so supported by multiple businesses in town because of that weekend especially, but, you know, us being the coffee vendors, we do hear people asking, do you have Uber, do you have Lyft, and we're, no. So, just throwing out support that would love to see this happen, and would love to see it not on 78.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Valerie Silver, and I just wanted to say that I live right by the McGillen Trailhead. I live about a block away from it on McGillen, and like Nick mentioned, I never noticed an issue with like parking congestion up there, and also with the busy weekends in the summertime, that trail sees so much use for everything from like Turkey Trot to the Red Fair to the 4th of July Rodeo. And so I do think it would be helpful to have that use spread out throughout town as well. And a trail that connects people directly to the grocery store in downtown, unlike the McGillen Trail, I think would be really helpful.
Thank you. Is there a comment over here from somebody? Yes, sir.
My name is Jeff Gildahouse. I have a little bit of background in outdoor recreation planning, working for the Forest Service for years, but I'm now retired. I really support this trail. I did serve on the park board a long time back, and I think this is a great idea. I think the challenge will be the actual design and engineering to get a 5-foot wide trail with adequate radius on those switchbacks to come down that trail. And I know that the flagging doesn't represent that,
Yeah.
but that'll be the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sam Merrick, I'm a resident in Alpine Basin Loop, the new subdivision up the hill, up Brewery Hill. Continually ride my bike, will like to walk down that hill. I'd rather have, rather than drive, I'd rather come in town that way. So, it's always been a safety issue, and to know to have another alternative to come down into town would be great. So I'm in full support of this, and I think that Nick's put together a great presentation. I think he's really looking towards how best to design and make this trail really an asset to our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sam?
Yes, sir.
Seth Decker, 601 South White. Would this trail have winter maintenance at all? Probably not.
It's hard to know how we would do that,
It
yeah.
could essentially be the walking path to squash the argument of no way to walk to the secondary ice skating rink location that's up on the hill. This would take care of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just hard, I mean, I don't know how you get, you know, like same with McGillen Trail, it's not currently maintained. And, yeah, I mean, you could probably get a snowblower down it, but going back up it wouldn't sure.
Well, I just, I know one of the big arguments with the ice rink going up there was people couldn't walk there.
Do you have any volunteers that would want to shovel?
But if there's as many people walking up down, it should be packed down enough.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I use the McGillen Trail pretty much year round, and it's surprising even in the wintertime, it's usable for the most time. Yes, sir.
I'm Aaron Fontaine. I live on Brewery Hill, and I support this because I see the traffic firsthand of people coming down the hill. My concern with it, though, is just the signage. I think that there needs to be adequate signage for people from the Alpine Basin, and all, because I've seen a lot of traffic now since that development is like fully livable now. And my other concern would be, like, in the summertime, like, you know, solar lights or something going down that trail, because we see a lot of traffic, especially on the weekends. People are walking up 78 in the middle of the night, go take it out, let the dog out, and there's people, you know, hollering, just walking up the middle of the road, and it's gonna cause a big problem. But I guess the main thing is just the signage, that way people know to route that way. I don't know how well they will take it, because 78 is right there, and it's more convenient just to go down the hill than it is to walk down the airport road and go down a trail, but yeah, the signage should be really booming.
My name's Shelley Howe. My husband and I live up on the West Bench. And I'm also a proud member of the Beartooth Board. I agree with everybody's comments from safety. I'm an avid hiker, biker. I get scared on 78, and I'm not getting any younger. So, I think that is huge. And I just want to say, Nick, the Beartooth Trails, summer people, anybody that has been involved with this project has listened. At every concern, every comment, at anything that anybody has said, I guarantee you that the Beartooth Board is discussing it, not taking it lightly. 2, 3 times, I mean, every board meeting we have, every meeting we get together, this is such a high priority for the Beartooth Board, and we want to do it right. We want to do it right, and we want to do it, and we are just thrilled to have the opportunity to maintain it, sustain it, and have it be a part of this community.
Thank you.
Shelley.
Comment?
My name's Melissa Meary, and I live.
Yeah, would you mind
Really? You
standing
can't
up,
hear
please?
me? I usually have this projector. I live on the golf course right above the, hospital. And I was very disappointed that the brewery trail didn't happen. Super disappointed about that. I am one of the people that goes down the Brewery Hill and walks along 78. 78?
Yeah. 78.
Yes, I walk from my house to the post office. I walk from my house to the grocery store. I mean, I'm a big-time walker, hike the mountains around here, and I think this is a fantastic idea, and I think you did a great job, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fully supported.
Yes, sir.
Hey, over here in the corner, sorry. Thomas Clark, 3018 Bluebell Avenue up in the Spires. I'm also a Beartooth Trails board member, so just wanted to reiterate this is a good opportunity that we've been looking for like 20 years. So if we don't jump on it, how long are we waiting for the next one? Living in the Spires, we are homeowners who are adjacent to a trail. It runs the entire length of our entire length of our lot. So it runs right by our house, couple bedroom windows, all the way down our fence, and it's sweet. It's great. It's so nice to be able to hop out onto a trail. It's the Moran Trail, granted it's a different trail. But we do get people walking on it, and it's, it's really nice to have that community right there. So, other thing, I ride with my 3-year-old on my bike a lot from the Spires to town. We currently just nuke right now 78. I feel good about it, but we would absolutely use this trail instead of hauling it top of the highway. So, thank you.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Sherry Weimer, Red Lodge Area Chamber of Commerce. Nick's part of my board, and we have several other board members here in attendance. When he presented to us, we fully supported it 100%. We've written a letter of support to show that. I was also on the steering committee for the Active Transportation Plan in 2016, and this is just a wonderful opportunity to take advantage and move all those steps forward. Just does nothing but make Red Lodge better. So just wanted to show our support to Nick for that. All your work.
Can I get your name again? Sorry.
Sherry Weimer.
Thank you, Sherry.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. My name is Jeff Sheets. If you look on that picture, that red roof right there, that's my garage. I'm concerned about the noise because the other day I was in my backyard and there were 2 people on the very top of this trail, right where you can see that says Red Lodge, talking in a normal voice, and I could hear every word they said. It echoes down there. And I'm for the trail, believe me, I really am, but I hope that we can put some vegetation along the trail, along the switchbacks, if we can just kind of muffle some of that noise, because that's only 2 people are standing there. And if you get 7, 8, or 10 people all talking, that noise really vibrates all the way down to our houses.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Catherine Schmidt. I live at 202 North Platte, and I am in full support of the trail. I want to really thank Beartooth Trails and Nick and everyone for all of the work that they've already put into this. I think it's incredible to see what you all already have done. I previously lived on 5th Street and would go the additional mile to McGillen to get up the hill. Both to take my dog to the dog park. Now we have 2 kids for simple safety purposes, and this just convenience to access the Airport Loop Trails is incredible. I want to thank you for that. In addition to vegetation being a good sound barrier, it will also support the ground from sliding down with use. So I think there's many, many reasons for adding vegetation. And living in multiple places around Red Lodge, I was completely unaware that there is a park between 8th and 9th Street right there, which makes me very sad. So I also believe that in addition to improving use to the Airport Loop Trail, to the dog park, to that area up the West Bench, I think it would get more use in the city parks, which I believe we all want. So thank you.
You're not alone. I think the board was unaware we had a park. Any other comments? Yes, sir?
Yeah, I got like,
Would mind standing up?
Sorry.
You want him to say, okay.
Okay, Ed Surratt, 1655 ACM. I have like 6 or 7 years experience building trails in Indiana, Michigan. And, the plan and I know Nick very well, is excellent. And, the benefits are gonna outweigh, the minor negative stuff. So I'm full board with that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Kristen
You
Holland.
might want to stand up too, please.
Kristen Holland, 120 Matisse Meadows. I do live out of town, but 13 years ago when I moved here as an AmeriCorps volunteer, I lived up in Mountain View Apartments and I didn't have a car for the first year. And so I walked every day to work or to get groceries. And if you take 78, you're looking at a 2-mile round trip. And if you take the McGillen Trail, you're looking at a 3-mile round trip year round. Not super fun to carry your groceries up McGillen Trail. This trail would make it a 1-mile round trip, which is amazing. I also, and it would be exponentially safer. I also was a cross-country coach for 9 years, and we do run the middle school cross-country kids down and up Highway 78. This would be an exponentially safer option for that. And I'm the owner of Red Lodge Events and the Turkey Trot, and we would love to, have more options to get people up to our events up there. And I think this project fits the Parks Board mission to a T. And this is the perfect opportunity to execute plans that the community has voiced that they've wanted for over 20 years. So I don't see why it wouldn't be recommended to the city council. And I know the concerns by the adjacent homeowners have been considered and addressed pretty well. And I just think this trail's probably not going to be perfect, and it's not going to meet everyone's goals and their dream trail, but I think everyone can agree that something is better than nothing in this situation. And I just want to really thank Mr. O'Neill for the opportunity of donating this land to bring connectivity to our community and build community, and thank Beartooth Trails for the consistent work they've done on this project and all the projects in our town.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Ours lives at 8th, I don't live there now. My house is at 8th and Nutting, and I think the trail is a great idea. I'm curious how you are going to mitigate cutting switchbacks. They're really tight, and they're really close together, and I've worked as a backcountry ranger for the Forest Service and the Park Service, and unless you have barriers there, people are going to cut them. And the water table is also right there, so how are you going to build a trail down in and mitigate the water problem?
What was your name?
Millie Carson.
Thank you.
Other comments? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to, I'm Don Carroll, I'm a resident of Red Lodge, live at the Spires. I'm on the board, and I'm the president of the board of Beartooth Trails. This is a community that loves trails, and this board wants to do everything to make this trail done right. It's within our mission. We think it's in your mission to support this trail, and I don't think I have anything new to add to this, but it's a great community effort. Trails build community, improves quality of life, all that stuff that Nick talked about, we believe in, and I think you do too.
Mr. Chair, you have, when you get to that point, you do have some comments.
Okay, when we finish the room in here. Yes.
Katie Young, I live at 413 Ward Avenue North, so just a block away from where this trail is proposed. I'm a runner and would love to have this access. I agree with a lot of the things that have been said already. In terms of health, in terms of safety on 78, in terms of vegetating the slope well. this will be an awesome project.
Back here, yes.
Yeah, Caden Lottie, live at 311 Ward Avenue, with Mr. O'Neill, who's donating the land. And I just I've heard a lot of the concerns of the noise and the privacy, and of course the valid concern. But as someone who will be affected with the noise and the privacy myself, I know I'd like to show full support, and I think a little bit of sacrifice goes a long way to support an entire community of people. A little bit of selflessness, and I would really like to see this go forward. And then with that park, I live right on the park, not even realizing that it was a park for so many years. And having it just kind of been a trash heap and a parking spot for so many years, to see it actually be used for something that will be beneficial and helpful for a lot of people, even if it's just to go somewhere to sit, to have some peace, a little bit outside of town, I think it'll be very beneficial to a lot of people, not only physical health, but mentality as well. So.
Thank you, Gabe. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Maggie Jared. I live and work in town, and I'm also on the Beartooth Trails Board. I'm also a neighbor with Katie here, and you apparently. Hi. So I'm on North Ward as well. I'm looking up to rental a property there, and I just want to say that I'd be more than happy to be a trail neighbor to the trail, and it's really exciting to see so many people out here and voicing their opinions on that. So I just want to say thanks for everyone for turning up for that. And yeah. Regular recreator. I use Airport Loop. It is my sunset walk. It is my morning run. I'd love to not have to go up a Ruby Hill. So.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie.
Go ahead.
Ruth Freeman, 1 North Hagen. I just want to bring out the component of the youth for this. I speak a lot for the youth. I do bike rodeo, which is, just 2 days from now, where we get all the students at the elementary school learning to bike. And that's one of the things that I was really involved in the active transport plan with trying to get more walking and biking school buses, because there isn't a great way for youth to get to school depending on where they are. And one of the biggest holes was from the people that were up on the bench, how do we get them down in a safe way? This gives a lot of opportunity to our youth. Of course, their parents that have to go with them for a lot of it, but also just bringing that active transportation, that active movement into the youth. It offers an awful lot. And one of the things we really found with our studies with the active transport proposal, I was also in the park board for quite a number of years. One of the things we found was youth getting to school, having exercised their way there, meant they were much more studied, much more focused, much more capable as students. And as a result, it gives all of their focus, all their ability to schooling and the rest of their lives. And we're just trying to build that. I can't say how many people will use this, but I can promise you a bunch would. And so I just would like to offer that support. And with that, the safe and easy entrance and exit into town, I think is really smart as far as, it was brought up, but what is that urban to that wilderness component? And I think that connection is really important for the, for that brain set as well. So trying to do that, that interface would be really beneficial also to people's brains, being able to actively move from that wilderness to the urban, to maybe to school or maybe to work, depending on what stage in life you're in.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience here? Yes, go ahead, John.
John Clayton, 123 South Hagen. I was on the Active Transportation Committee with Rue and Sherry, and I was really gratified to hear Nick quoting from our document that we had put a lot of effort into. And I'm also very gratified to see you guys on the Parks Board carrying forth the mission that we had to really improve walkability and pedestrian and bike connections throughout town. So, thank you.
Paula has
Paula, could we go to the audience, the Zoom audience first, and then let you?
Oh, okay. There's one person down there.
Oh,
yeah, stand up.
Okay.
Hi. My name is Amy Coulson, and I live over in the High Buzz neighborhood, right around the fire department. I very regularly go up to the airport loop to run, walk, just like a bunch of people in here. And I'm in full support of this trail. I would love to not have to walk up that really, really narrow shoulder of Highway 78. So I think the presentation was super strong, very fantastic, and thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Lisa Druckenmiller, and I fully support the trail. I'm happy to see it evolve extensively, even since the last time that we walked up there. More information about reseeding, growing trees, you know, because those corners will end up being pretty rough. And if we can replant some native things that will survive, basically, and some shrubs, so.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, Max Maynard, I live, 313 South Hagen. I want to plus one pretty much everything everybody said about supporting the trail. I also want to add, I think there's like, one of the benefits of living in this town is like, there's just like this sense of adventure we have because we're so close to the mountain. And adding another trail just like really adds to that and makes it even more, an exciting place to live. So I just, wanted to name that.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
I'm hiding behind the monitor.
There we go. Please stand up.
Hi, AJ Christensen, resident, business owner, and just wanted to point out too, we know that like a network of trails is doing this, helps give us, like business owners, like, hey, another reason to keep people around in town, and it's something for people to do, right? Recently, I've been hearing, like, hey, I'm visiting Red Lodge, what is it to do? People are recommending going to Cody, right? Going to Colorado, these other things, like, what are we doing here? Like, let's give them a quick, easy loop as a family that they can do, ride their bike safely, and then come back into town and spend more time in our shops and restaurants, so.
Do we have any more questions from the audience in the room? Okay, we're gonna go to our internet.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to go, these have kind of threaded in, including through the presentation. So Maggie Crash shared that Russ Purcell did not build the hospital portion of the wellness trail, but I feel he may be capable if he has appropriate equipment. I was project manager for BBC's wellness trail during original construction. There was some conversation about just how to hear and whether to speak it up. So again, it really does help if you stand up, your voice, they were picking it up easier. And then there's just a repeat back of a question that they couldn't hear, and just for the record of this audience, asked if they could repeat it. The previous question is there a requirement the trail goes down 8? The question was deferred to future point with council, not Parks Board. Priscilla Neff said, Priscilla Neff here, I'm also in full support of this project and agree with the previous comments. In addition, it's great to see locals using trails to go from town, hold on, they're jumping, to see trails go from town to use the observatory, and this will definitely be helpful in allowing residents and visitors to access the dark sky resource. Excellent. Maggie Karras came in, or Maggie Karras, sorry. Excellent presentation. I fully support this trail project and will submit a letter of support. I appreciate Beartooth Trail's thoughtful consideration of the erosion, drainage, stabilization, slope benches, signage, and more. The location is much needed, centrally located, safe route to and from town to the west bench and beyond. And then Angie Hazelworth, I'm jealous that my house isn't right next to a trail. I live on South Hagen and have to walk through town to get to the trails to and on the west bench, which I do. I'm in support of this new trail. I think it will be an asset to our community. It sounds like challenges are being addressed. I hope this trail will be approved. Living on South Hagen, I see a lot of walkers, dog walkers, bikers, baby strollers go by my house daily and often. I have never noticed any of them cause disruption or nuisance. My house is about 15 feet from the street. It is great to see people out exercising and enjoying our town. Rebecca Van Horn, I am supportive of a trail done right. I think that it will be a great facility for the people and the benefit the museum. I am constantly asked about trails nearby, and it will give tourists a chance to see Red Lodge from a breathtaking perspective. And I think that's the last of the day. When I started reading, there was more spewing in. So that's the end of the questions at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Paula, would you like to give us a good presentation?
But I feel like the 8th Street switchback is off the board, off the table right now. And I don't know how will we know when it's back, if it goes back on the table, or is it just gonna be open, go this way or go that way? How will we be notified?
Well, you know, we're an advisory board, so whatever recommendation we make tonight is gonna go to the city council. I would assume at that point, there could be some further discussions about that question that you have.
I want to say, and be very clear that we are in total support of the trail.
Can you come closer to the mic, please? Yours was one specifically they couldn't hear earlier.
And Nick, you've done a great job. I support what you do. I want the trail. We need it. But my presentation is focused on the 8th Street switchback, which would involve, the proposal would involve, this is the, I'm gonna see. This is the, let me see, the trail comes out here. So if they were gonna put switchbacks on this 8th Street steep hillside, it would involve taking out a large portion of these plum trees.
Native plum trees.
Native plum trees. And, so the next slide. Did I do that?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
So this is the section that I'm worried about. And the next slide. So we are proposing to not use this steep hillside, to come around North Adams, drop down and go down, 8th that way, which would involve not cutting switchbacks into that hillside, not removing the native wild plums there, which is a habitat for bees, birds, moose, bears.
It's not
So-
a grass sheet, that's a parking area.
Please. So I had I gotta find this here. The extension, Carbon County, Amber Elliott from the Carbon County Extension Office came to this area in April to look at the proposed trail. And because we were told that the plums are invasive species, and she confirmed that they in fact are not invasive species, they are native plums that are, thrive in a wetland area, which these are. The next slide. Next slide. So, those are the plums, they feed the birds, they feed the rabbits, the deer, the moose that come through there. Next slide, we have plenty, I mean, this is out my side house, the moose trimming, eating on the plum trees. I have personally witnessed in that area of this, triangle of city property, that the deer come and have their babies there, and it's a maternity, what do you want? Ward. So, and I would just hate to have that all slashed and cut out. And that's our issue. If there's no cutting and slashing, and people come off the hillside, they can decide to go down the hill, which is steep, but, or they can go around, they can make that choice. But our issue is this hillside, that we do not want it to be destroyed.
So Paul, if I could make a comment on that.
Sure.
Again, the action tonight's gonna be whether they recommend accepting the donation for that property and to use as a trail to connect to the Airport Road Trail.
Right.
I think the details in the planning will come later.
Okay.
If the city council eventually approves that project. And I know that in my meeting last Sunday with Mr. O'Neill, we looked at those specific plum thickets, and he even made the comment that he didn't want to see those plum thickets being destroyed too, and that he thought that they should be left in place. So there's some work to be done on, as this project moves forward, to the designing of that lower part, if we're going to put trails there at all. So I think that's going to be answered at the next step, as we get to the next step.
Thank you. If the proposal by Mr. O'Neill accepted this evening, does it include the caveat that it needs to go, the trail exit at this time needs to go down 8th Street?
I think it depends on what kind of a motion we have tonight. And And again, it's all subject to the final decision by the city council
Okay.
too.
All right.
And we first have to get to
I just want to reiterate, we do support the trail, we want to see it happen. But we'd like to protect this property, and thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Paula, did you want to do any more pictures, or are you good?
Not unless you want to look at all the birds that I looked at. I had bird song, but then I didn't bring it.
She'll be selling autographed prints later.
Thank you.
Oh.
Quick question.
Yeah, sure. I was at, my name's Asana Oki. I was at the previous meetings and we walked right by the house and looked at this proposal. And there is a desired path, right? I know that we were not gonna talk about the specifics, but just clarification, there is already a desired path where you highlighted it on the picture.
Correct, right. That's what the animal uses, it wouldn't cost the city anything to have it there. Thank you.
Okay. Roger. Yes, Steve, go ahead.
Got some comments I'd like to
Okay.
say. I feel the need to say,
Your name?
Steve, well, I will, I'll say that in a minute.
Pass it around.
No, I've got copies for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Mr. Mayor. My name is Steve Rice. I live at 215 Nutty, and I wrote this letter as a letter to the editor, which will be in the paper tomorrow, and I'm going to read it now. I'm sorry that there hasn't been more communication between the Parks Board and Beartooth Trails to me, because I've been involved with this pretty much from the start. So here's the letter. I again want to express my support for the extension of the Rocky Fork Trail proposed by Beartooth Trails in a land swap between a private landowner and the city. The proposed trail would extend from the airport road down to city property adjacent to 8th and Nutting Road. However, from a conversation that Nick was involved with, and Luke was involved with, and I was involved with Mr. O'Neill, this is to that conversation. However, I do not support private landowners' mandate of where the trail should be engineered on city property, which was done. The private landowner has stated that if the trail doesn't follow his preferred path on city property, he would hold back his land swap with the city on the upper portion of the trail. This process to decide where the trail goes on city public property should be done only through city processes. It should not be dictated by a private individual and would create a precedent excluding normal city procedures from the decision-making process. It would not be in the best interest of the city and by extension local taxpayers when considering future projects. And so it will be in the paper tomorrow, and I'm explaining this to everybody that's here, that I was not in the loop of what has come about with Mr. O'Neill and that conversation. So I'm here.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
I think communication is very.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I'm going to turn it over to the board here for questions and comments.
Yeah, I got some questions. Nick, what's the latest with discussions, like, to address that in particular?
That's the city question. You guys can talk to the city about that.
Mayor, where are we with that? Like, why has that part changed?
Mr.
Should be a
Chairman,
big concern.
Well,
would you?
I'll try to answer that, I guess.
I'm happy to speak, it's your meeting, I've been doing that.
Yeah, I'd say that I read the letter to the editor, and it seems like everybody who lives adjacent to the project said that we were going to destroy the plum trees, and so I listened to those concerns and adjusted the proposal. I don't understand why that's not
Can you go to the slide that shows the two exits down the 8th and it was an advanced slide where you had the green and the red, blue, I think were the two different trails. Yeah, that one right there is, if you can go full screen on that.
Yes.
So the original proposal that came in from Mr. O'Neill, the request that he had was that at the top of the hill, we provided signage for those that were, quote, directionally challenged, so that they knew how to go if they were going to the store and stuff. He didn't want them getting lost. When the Trails folks brought up the conversation about a concern about that hill being too steep for strollers and such, I specifically asked him and had several people there. My understanding is that there's not any concern or there's not a demand or of a shutdown of that alternate path that goes north. And he says, heavens no. He says, if they're trying to get north, that makes way more sense to go down that road. But his requirement was not that you plow down plum trees and put a trail through there, is that we provided adequate signing that pointed out the options to go there. So that was his biggest concern, is that people realized that going down 8 was an option. And I went to the field trip as well. Interesting enough, at that field trip, I was the only one who got to the site by walking up the road. Everybody else walked up the green line. That was just kind of the natural thing that folks did. Additionally, I had another conversation with Mr. O'Neill this afternoon. I was with the Public Works Director, and there was a concern about, in fact, somebody had mentioned it, kind of the nature of these switchbacks going back and forth. And Mike had pulled this up on the GIS system and shot some corners. And one of the questions was, and again, remember that this is somebody dictating land, and we don't get to dictate what they're going to give us. No, we won't. You must give us X. But the question was specifically raised: is that possibility that this can be this donation at the top of the trail can be wider to allow bigger switchbacks and more turns? And he said, absolutely. His instructions, his goal is that he's trying to give basically a 1 acre donation to the land. The one thing that was a specification, and I think it's where a lot of these conversations started from, is just north, which is the top of where that triangle starts, where it splits into the blue and the green. You can kind of see a little bit of a brown spot in between those two trees. That is a wet spot. And so one of the initial clarifications when he made this donation was that was not going to be part of the donation because that was wetlands. And so that, what the actual comment, as I understood it, and if I continue to understand it through follow-up conversations, is the donation is not going to include that area where the spring runs out, which is about halfway up the blue line, and therefore basically, yeah, it's not going to include that area there, and therefore the donation at the top is small enough that it is narrow enough that it does not encompass that. And again, if we're bringing out the trail there, he doesn't want people walking out across those wetlands area. It needs to be clear, this is where that trail is taking to you.
Okay.
And I've on multiple occasions clarified, no objections to, if I go up on a bike, that trail is going to be too steep because I'm old, fat, and out of shape. So I would take the road and then walk my bike up the rest of the hill.
So there's a fence there now, correct?
There is, and my understanding through that, there are some fences that are going to be involved and built to protect both the property to the south and the donator's property to the north.
Right.
And so they're going to be there. And then I've heard conversations of basically the living fences to help address and mitigate some of the noise concerns.
Right.
But the conversations about and some of these I'll defer to, because you were in conversations with him, but you had relayed, I didn't have a conversation about the plum trees coming down. His concern was the donation does not include a 20-foot wide stretch that is on his property along that blue diagonal line, because there are wetlands that are there that he didn't think were inappropriate. So that's what the original, and that's turned into, well, the trail has to cut out here, and I know Nick had proposed, well, we need to do some cutbacks. Again, I'm not sure recognizing that there's a road there or what the thought is, but that inside part, and part of the goal is to have some benches there and to have some workout equipment, and that may be inside of the city park. Nick had mentioned a couple of the benches up farther on the hill. So the goal is to have this be more than just a connector, to have that part be utilized. So, but to your point, how we utilize that park is a future discussion, that the park will make recommendations on, and how do we utilize that so that people don't go, oh, that's the park next to me?
Yeah, and I think maybe to kind of answer your question, I think the project is kind of constantly evolving a little bit to some degree. And when I talked to Steve, we went out there because we were concerned about the plum thicket there. And Steve pointed out to me that from one of the corners where there might be a switchback coming up 8th Street, if you look through the thicket, you could see the other flag, you know, which you're assuming then that the trail is going to go right through the middle of that thicket. And when I met with Mr. O'Neill, we walked that whole area, and I brought him down to that area, and I said, talked about why are we looking at removing the plum here? And he said, I had no intention the plum trees to be removed. So I pointed those flags out to him, and he goes, well, we can't do that. And he walked over and he said, let's just move that flag. So he pulled that flag up and moved it over, you know, by the ditch. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that there is nothing set in concrete, carved in marble at this point as far as that.
Or bentonite or whatever it is.
Or even that, yeah. And the project has been evolving as there's been discussions up there. Yeah, I think tonight what we need to decide is, this board needs to decide is this project worthy, making a recommendation to the city council to move it forward in terms of accepting a land donation for that purpose, to have that trail connecting to the airport road trail. And we'll work out the details.
Yeah, so Willie, that's obviously a different conversation than the one you, me, and Nick were.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Very different. So I understand your frustration with that.
I'm a little disappointed that there was not, verbiage between myself.
Yeah, and that's, our apologies on that didn't, you know, make its way to you. And same for you, Paul. So I think that the concern with that pocket park really needs to be addressed at the next level, the city council. And I think there'll be opportunity and plenty of time to do that. So I don't want you guys to feel like you're just getting pushed aside, that opportunity is going to pass, that there will be ample time to talk about it. Okay.
So, any other discussions from the board here? Or with,
It's disappointing how many conversations they've had, and at least 3 of us haven't been privy to it.
Yeah.
Which, you know, so that's disturbing to me that we weren't included.
Yeah.
And I guess this whole time we've been talking about what Greg has said, but he's not here, so it's just like, what do you take as word? And I know that's not even, I guess I feel uncomfortable that we're discussing those things at this point. I think they're good things to be brought up, but we are an advisory board, and so it's hard to answer all of the concerns or respond to things because we don't even know what was said from him specifically, without representation, I guess. And then, yes, lots of side conversations happening, that we are also hearing about for the first time too.
Yeah.
But,
well, it's a project.
Yeah.
It's not unusual for projects to change as time goes along and people look at them and discussions happen.
but I don't think it impacts those things. We don't know the answers to those things to impact our decision tonight, I guess is my point. They have to be stated and said, but I just don't think that we should be answering those things until we know whether that's at city level.
So what
or-
things are you talking about we shouldn't be answering?
Well, just what Greg has or hasn't said, or whether the plum thicket's being removed or not, or the route of the trail, we don't know that yet. And so we can't, I mean, whether we feel like we have enough information to make a decision or not, I don't know. But I don't think we should be speculating, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
It's up to the board.
I think this is a valid concern.
It's up to the board.
I would just like to say that, I've read the letters of the editor. I've also sat in on every public meeting that the neighbors have been in on, and I heard their concerns, and that's why I changed the proposal. So
Yeah.
I feel like,
You did.
I feel like I was trying to compromise there, and now it's like, that compromise is
a problem.
I agree.
And I don't see it as a problem, you know, like if the problem was that we were going to propose a trail that went through the plum thicket and that was destructive, then we removed that because we were listening to the concerns. And yeah, we're not proposing the trail goes through the plum thicket, so I don't see what the problem is.
I agree completely with Nick. I mean, they've heard the concerns of the neighbors of that area. They've made adjustments to try to change the plan.
So they're trying to figure out who said what.
I mean,
He did a great job, I think.
I think we should just go ahead and vote, and, the problem lies in, unfortunately, city council. But we need to, find out about this pocket park. I'm nervous that the plum tree's fine, y'all can go this way, y'all can go this way, but then when it gets to city council, the rug's gonna, Mr. O'Neill's not here, and the rug's gonna change when it gets to city council. But for now, let's just vote on it, and the city council will, have to deal with some real good, details and lawyering about the land swap and the land donation. But right now, let's just go.
All right, I'll make a motion, to recommend to City Council approval of the O'Neill and City of Red Lodge land donation and proposed trail.
I would like to second it.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you all.
Good job, Nick. You got that. So why would you
I know,
This is the talk I was gonna give, and this is the letter for the, we have the letter. We did. Did she send it to you? No, you received it. Right, so.
Right back at
Okay, we're gonna continue with the meeting. Everybody take their seats, please. Just Sergeant Warren. Mike and Sergeant Warren. Okay, we're gonna continue with the meeting. Okay.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, we're gonna move forward now. Mike, you're next on the item, the park project update.
Okay, I'm gonna be real quick and short and brief.
All the points. Addressing.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we?
For item number 4, park project update.
Yep, so,
Mike.
quick run through the list fast as I can. Today, we turned on the bathrooms at the ball fields, because I think last night was gonna be our, last good freeze. Willie's gonna start mowing, possibly the end of this week, beginning next week. We're gonna start getting the sprinklers all going in the parks. Tree bags went out on the trees today or yesterday. Because again, we're kinda out of freezing.
in Coal Miners Park, we have K2 camped out up there for the summer. So I think everybody's aware of that, but I just want to make sure that parking lot is a staging area for our construction project. We did get, the storm line put in to drain the lake up there. The last thing we have to do, is install a manhole on it. We got the manhole today. We're gonna try and get it in probably this week or next week. I still have no word on whether or not we're gonna be able to curb and gutter all that yet. I'm still waiting to hear. The last thing I have is, we've had a few issues with the Lions Club bathrooms. Kind of like last year, we had a guy kind of camping out in there, almost got, we're gonna talk to the police and see if we can work out a system or a protocol where the police lock them at night and then we'll unlock them in the morning so they're not open all night.
And overnighters in the.
Yeah, try and keep the overnighters at bay, so the Lions Park Motel will be closed. And that's the quick and dirty. So any questions?
Any questions for Mike?
Thank you.
Mike, I've seen you've had in the paper, you've been advertising for,
No, you can't leave. No.
you've been advertising for, pool measures, getting any responses or anything yet at this point?
To my knowledge, we have not had an application yet.
And you still have some trees up at Baldwin's?
I believe so.
You know, when you.
I think they're six, but I'm not sure.
Right. You know.
See, I haven't checked to see how well they overwintered.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions for Mike?
Mike, is there a timeline on that, the shed that's gonna go on the soccer field?
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing I had on my list that I skipped over.
I don't know if everyone knows the new idea.
We got I met with the Frisbee golf people and the soccer people and kind of tried to figure out a place for the shed, and what seemed like the best idea was to just do like cut out a little section of that berm, and we'll put in a 4-foot kind of retaining wall, like with those, eco blocks, so they can just be pulled out later if we ever succeed in getting rid of the berm, which is my goal. But then we'll put the shed in that, so it'll kind of be tucked in to the berm, and we're gonna make it big enough to put the porta potty in there, so it'll be less out in the middle of the thing in the wind. Unfortunately, the shed came before we were able to get all that work done, so the shed is in a temporary spot. And you can see it up there. It's a nice shed, but that got delivered on Monday. So, yeah,
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
That's great.
Any other questions?
What else did I forget?
Can I request going next?
Yeah, in fact, I was
Because
gonna.
two people are trying to leave, and I don't want them to leave.
No, I was gonna suggest that you skip your point next to also for Mike's.
And Mike
as
needs
well.
to hear this too, because Mike's gonna be involved.
Yep, so maintenance concerns for Moose Tracks, take it
So
away.
am I on?
You're on.
Okay.
Go Ann.
Well, thank you, Dallas and Thomas, for staying. April 15th, we all got a letter from Dallas talking about future playgrounds, but she also inserted the state of the Moose Trails and the Field School Park. And the word she used that got my attention was splintery. So I've been living right there. I walked down, and indeed needs a lot of work. So I'm proposing to get a workforce together, us, and I lost a lot of volunteers, unfortunately, potential volunteers. But I went back to Moose Tracks yesterday, and it's a major job. I wish there was an Eagle Scout in town trying to get his whatever, because it would be a great job for an Eagle Scout to, boss us around and tell us what to do. But so that's what I'm thinking, and I need a date. I just need a date that you all, and Saturday, a good date, and there's 5 Saturdays between now and June 8th. And also, the Boys and Girls Club program starts Monday, June 8th, and I'd love this to be, I'd like the splinters be removed by June 7th or 6th. And
'cause one girl told me a girl got a splinter in her rear end, had to go to the hospital and have it removed. So it's really bad. It's really bad. And our job is to maintain the playgrounds. I didn't know that, but now I do. So I asked you all to look at your calendars and think of a date, and does anybody have an idea? Thank you.
So what are we talking? Like, what, do we need like belt standers or
I
like?
think we need standards. I'm gonna talk to a couple contractors in town that have probably better standards, and we need parents and people to come and get this done. Moose tracks will not be done by June 8th, but at least we can make it safer, more pleasant, and then we need wood chips. And I think I texted you, the Boys and Girls Club is
We
really
can use
wants,
park project budget to get some wood chips.
and then we can be there to spread them, you know, throw it on tarps and drag it through moose tracks and put new chips down.
We've done this before. Do we know who owned it? And is it worth talking to them to figure out what they did? And is it
You mean
not a
Mad-
long-term
Madeline?
solution?
You mean who owned it, like Madeline? That
Was it Madeline
Yeah.
who did it before, the Moose Tracks project?
Well, when I first came on the board, she had gotten an estimate from a contractor to come in and restain
And that happened.
and that happened, right? Mike said, give that to me, and so she did,
Okay.
but we still have splinters,
Yeah,
apparently.
and I'm assuming it's a volunteer project. I don't know if we have the money to hire
I
people
think,
to come in.
I haven't been down there to look at it yet. I'll get down there tomorrow and look at it.
Well, I'm just
And
seeing
I-
a nightmare of people running Sanders
I would
and
rather,
not knowing
you know,
really what they're doing.
I would rather it become a public works project.
I would too.
than have
I went down and
a bunch
looked
of
at that.
people running around down there with sand.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I went and looked at that park, and it's not in good shape. It's loosened boards here and there, and the
Yeah.
lumber in that park is getting to the point where you aren't gonna be able to do too much with it.
No, we actually Willie keeps on it pretty good. We
Yeah.
replace a lot of wood down there.
Yeah,
And
it's just old.
we're talking about, we're also talking about Field School Park Playground too as
That,
well.
the seesaws on Field School are in particularly bad.
Yeah.
And everything else is, apparatus is chains and plastic, but the seesaws are bad at Field. And there are only two of them.
Yeah, I kind of, I hate to throw too much on.
I guess I grew up
Mike.
in bad playground.
The
metal slides.
Hot slides,
We're
right.
kind of concerned about
Ow.
that kind of equipment, volunteers and that.
I just like to reiterate that it actually is Public Works' job to maintain the park.
Right.
This board certainly advises and hears concerns and can make suggestions, but to be clear, this is Public Works' realm of responsibility, and so.
I did read on the website of the city of Red Lodge that it's the Parks Board, job to do maintenance. That's what got me, so that needs to
If I
change.
misspoke, I apologize.
No,
Yeah, we need to.
I was surprised. I thought, gosh, guess it pays to keep reading what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And to your point, revisiting it multiple times over and over and over again,
Yeah.
because certain things will jump out at you
Yeah.
one time that aren't there on a
Exactly.
reading.
That is true. Yeah, but I really think the expertise and I agree with the mayor, it's really the responsibility of the city.
And that doesn't mean that there's not a part where this Parks Board comes in and brings in volunteers. If you
Yeah.
look at our tree planting exercises or park cleanup, there's all sorts of things, but all of those things are volunteers working under the direction of the Public Works
Yeah, I
Director.
think like spreading the chips around would be a good volunteer project.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, I don't feel good about having
Well, could you,
public running power tools on.
Me either, me either.
I don't know what we can get done by June 7th, because June 8th is a big deal to the Boys and Girls Club, because they've been there 31 years, and they've never been able to open all summer. And I'd like, getting verklempt here, it'd be just nice to really
I'll
make
look
it
at it
special
tomorrow,
for
and
them.
if it becomes a public works project, we would just sub it out, so maybe we'd hire somebody to do it.
Okay, all right.
Mike, we, speaking on behalf of Beartooth Trails, we're setting up our calendar right now for, spring and summer, and we traditionally spend like 4 Trail Tuesdays and maybe a Saturday on local parks, and I think this sounds like a perfect, maybe we could do like the 6th and we could rally our volunteers also to come help, or we could even do a Trail Work Tuesday on like the 26th of May. And it'd probably be for more like the stuff you're talking about, like, you know, no skill required, just a rate
There's a lot of
and
stuff,
things
I
that
don't
can
know,
help with.
no skills required, but if it needs like real sanding and, you know, a whole lot of that, and I think we just hire that out. Or
Yeah.
I don't, right now with everything going on with water, sewer, streets, I can't put my crew on. So I would have to hire somebody, but we, you know, with that parks projects budget line, we have that ability, we have budget money to do that.
Yay.
Can be done that quickly though?
Should we make a motion?
Can you take a look at it and,
Yeah,
and give us an evaluation of what you think it takes, and maybe we actually work with these two
I'll
individuals?
just email everybody on the
Okay,
board.
and,
great.
work it out. If we could do a thing
Yep.
with Beartooth Trails to spread shits and that type of thing, that's
Yeah.
a great project. So, okay,
All right, well, thank you all.
thank you, Ann, for bringing that to our
Yeah.
All I have to do is spread chips, that's right.
You have to give them permission to leave now.
Oh, y'all can leave, thank you.
We can cover a date
Thank you,
now.
and thank you for.
Oh, sad, this is date night.
What?
Oh, you guys are awesome.
Thank you for the letter. It was great. Like I said, we don't always know what's going on, and I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for reading it.
Oh, yeah, you popping around the corner.
Thanks for coming to the park board meeting.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on.
Okay.
Okay. And I think it's a good segue into what the next item on there is we're talking about the Earth Day, Arbor Day volunteer appreciation. It might be something that we can incorporate into that volunteer effort. What's your thoughts on?
Yeah, I guess I just
Sure.
wanted to open up discussion because we've acknowledged those three things in various ways over the years. And I think it's good to keep that on our radar. And so I just wondered if people had any input about, I mean, obviously Earth Day and Arbor Day have passed officially, but do we want to re-implement the block party in Lions Park? Do we want to re-implement a volunteer cleanup day? I feel pretty strongly that we are in or due for a true appreciation event for the community. Because, I mean, even tonight, everyone that showed up and has had input on this and the ice rink and cleaning up parks and utilizing the parks, I think if there's any sort of budget, I don't know, to host something, I think that would be in a really amazing standalone without asking people to volunteer earlier in the day, but it could easily look like that. That's just my 2 cents. I liked the cleanup days. In the past, it was challenging to do it around Earth Day because of weather.
Yeah.
So maybe doing that again, but maybe it's more in May or early June, I don't know.
May's going by pretty quickly too now.
Yeah, and I don't know that we can pull it off this year, but yeah, or maybe it's something at the end of the summer we do when people are kind of back in town, heading into the fall.
Well, I think for Arbor Day, if we are going to stay at Tree City, we have to plant a tree.
Well, and that.
And
I
have
think
an
I've filled
event.
all that stuff out.
Yeah.
You just have to plant a tree, it has to be, the mayor has to sign a proclamation, that happens later, or can happen later, and, the best thing to do is get a picture in the paper of it,
Yeah.
and then just reference that, and those are the requirements. I
That can be
believe
done in an afternoon.
all the paperwork's been filled out already, and I think we already have the money
Yeah.
for the tree.
I guess I looped it in because at one point there was like discussion about combining Earth Day and Arbor Day or combining the volunteer event with one of those things. But I think Arbor Day this year, we're good. So it would really be just talking about if we want to acknowledge Earth Day, or maybe we scratch that for this year since it's already passed. And earlier next year, we talk about bringing the block party back and just focus on a volunteer
Let me
appreciation.
make a suggestion. We do have to, we haven't done an Arbor Day event for this coming year, or for this current.
We don't have one planned yet. I
Yeah,
figure
so why
we're-
don't we,
I mean, we typically do it in like June, I think.
yeah, my suggestion is let's plan an Arbor Day in June. It could be even on a work day. It just takes a couple hours in an afternoon. We can have a tree planted, we can read the mayor's proclamation, get pictures in the paper, and we're good on that. My thought would be skip Earth Day this year. Let's look for maybe the end of the season, towards the end of the season, going into the fall cleanup day.
Yeah.
Community cleanup day,
Hmm.
tied in with the employee appreciation.
I like it.
Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Are you okay
I
with
guess,
that?
yeah.
Can we get the memorial tree here by then?
I think
Well,
we
yeah,
still,
probably,
don't
yeah.
we still have some at Baldwin?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
as soon as he picks out a tree.
Yeah, I'm
Pays
gonna
for it.
I'm gonna be contacting her tomorrow.
Okay, great,
Okay.
okay.
All right?
That was easy.
Okay, we have several more items on here. You all have copies of, the Parks Board meeting guidelines?
Yes,
Mhm.
thank you for doing that.
Are you, ready to take that on yet this evening? Do you want to pass on that till the next meeting?
Let's pass on it. It's what, 7:30?
Yeah.
Almost. Thank you for
You're
doing
good
it.
with
Let's
that?
table it to the
Okay, we'll
next
table that
meeting.
to the June meeting. And we have Park Ambassador reporting.
For Van Dyke, I just want to thank Mike, on the record for getting that path
Oh,
graded, and, it looks great. And, a tree came down during some of the wind,
Some
I
of the
don't-
new trees?
no, along the ditch.
Oh, gotcha.
And somebody, bucked it up and pulled it off the path. I'm not sure if it was the ditch people or,
Was it you, Luke?
No.
Oh, you look
Shocked though.
suspicious.
Or if it
You know, like,
Public Works, but anyway, it's, the path is open, and, I was over there today, it looks really good, so thanks.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything to report?
Field school, the book walk is supposed to start in June.
Okay.
Installing their sign.
Are they going with a shorter story this year?
I hope so.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Not War and Peace.
I'll send you what the name of the
When I got to the
book
first sign that said it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, I was concerned.
The only thing I have to remark
Tim
on.
remembers his ninth grade reading.
He remembers
Finn
everything.
Park might be, we took down that big cottonwood tree, maybe that'd be a good place to replace a tree for Arbor Day.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Finn Park, yeah, I still gotta get that guy back here
Grind the stump.
to grind the stuff. I'll get on that. I've been on him. It's kinda like when we cut him down.
Yeah.
He's a hard guy to schedule.
Yeah, I understand. Any other, reports?
I just have two things. Let's see here. One is, we're getting signs, I guess, for, the crossings on the airport loop at some point. And then,
I got the signs for.
Oh, you got 'em?
Yeah.
oh, nice. Yeah, do you want to do it, or you want Beartooth Trails to do it?
If you guys wanna put the
I don't
post
mind.
in, that's great.
Are they, like, post cemented in the ground kind of signs, or how robust are
They're
they?
aluminum signs. I think they're
Okay.
24 by 30.
Okay, all right, I'll reach out to you, we can chat.
Yeah, I think we got them up to shop.
Okay, perfect. And then I went and looked at the, Fort Myers Park, at the pump track, and it's definitely had a winter in Montana. So I didn't realize there was that many rocks in the soil, but they apparently make their way to the top.
Oh.
eventually.
Oh, no.
My board, I filtered the shit out of that stuff, and I was like, I swear it would just be dirt. I mean, it's just how it goes. I did a bunch of research where, like, there's no way, unless you have like a micron filter, you're gonna,
Yeah.
so pretty normal. It's just, nothing we can't fix, but it's gonna take probably a couple Turtle Lake Tuesdays, maybe a Saturday to get that thing up and running. We need to get with the soccer people, because clearly there's been little kids that like to run around on it in their cleats.
Oh.
And in particular, they like to stand on the top of a berm and then push down the face of the berm with their other foot, which is that's like the hardest thing to fix. It's like the steep part of those berms is like glue, and once it breaks the hard candy shell, it's like the softness underneath, and somebody dug a big hole too, and you thought it was a sandbox. But, nice thing about dirt is we can fix it. You know what I mean? So, we'll be probably looking to see when the water truck's coming out again.
It'll be coming out.
Nice.
Yeah, probably this week.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like we're looking at 2-week forecast, we're above the
That's good.
35 for the 2
Oh.
weeks. And I figure if we make it 2 weeks, we're not gonna have freezing nights.
Nice.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, right? Well, I'll be blowing you up to get that thing at some point here in the next
And
month.
whenever you guys need some dirt, we've got,
Do you?
it's probably very similar to what you had, maybe, I don't know what size screen you had.
Half inch.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, we might have had an end screen in there.
Okay.
But, we can bring you that,
Okay.
just shoot me a text and
Yeah.
we'll run some up.
All right, thanks, Mike. It looks like there's enough dirt on site.
Like 2 loader buckets full, right, for
Well,
repair or
For repair, I think we have enough for repair, because a lot of the dirt, it just fell down, and now we gotta get it wet and put it back up, It's almost like, you know, paint, once we clean it up. What we really need more dirt for is for the little kids pump track, it's gonna kind of wrap around the adult version one.
How much do you think that's gonna,
Probably 40 to 50 cubic yards,
so, couple, 3 dump truck
probably
loads?
3 or 4 dump truck loads.
Okay.
You know, so you guys can drop it off whenever you want.
I think we have that much.
Okay, yeah, if you guys wanna put that at your leisure, go for it, and we'll use it when we
I'll
use it.
wait till you're ready, I don't
Okay.
want stuff there, because we put the little temporary pad in for the shed,
Mm-hmm.
soccer kid, and we put that in, it was there for a week, and they went over there with their cleats and destroyed
Yeah.
that too, so.
Yeah, so, yeah, on that note, we're reaching out to the soccer head honchos to like, you just put the word out to the parents and the coaches, like, if you see them running over in their cleats, just be like, stop, you know, those are bikes only. We try to make it so it could be like, yeah, sure, run, but we didn't think about cleats and people, the way kids are, they're not running softly, you know, it's like, anyway, so I have one job for the whole Parks Board though, is that we're looking for park projects for our Trail Work Tuesdays, starting on the 26th of May. So, and right now we're like, last year we just ran and we were like, oh, let's just go to Rotary Park and weed whack and clean it up, and let's just go to the airport loop, we just randomly picked it. So if there's stuff that you guys have, you're like, this actually has to be done or improved, that's an even better project than us just doing general cleanup, like the moose tracks. If we could fit that in, that'd be perfect, because we're already gonna have the bodies, we got the time set aside. So anyhow, I'll try to remember to email everybody, or if someone remembers and they want to just blast her, be like, hey, it'd be nice if you could fix this at Van Dyke, and we'll put it on it, so that it starts like the 26th of May, and then it goes every Tuesday, 26th, 2 June, 9 June, 16 June, and then 23 June, we have allotted for Red Lodge Park. And, honestly, if we didn't have any input, we were probably gonna spend most of that time at coal miners, because it's the biggest and it needs the most, that's the most mileage of weed whacking needs to happen, and the pump track, et cetera. But if you guys have stuff you wanna give us, please reach out to me.
I'll defer to Mike, but I think, Van Dyke and the weeds and stuff up there was kind of a concern that we're gonna need some manual efforts.
I think we did, I think I said this at the last meeting, but I'm not sure, but, the new county weed coordinator's been really good to work with. They've already sprayed quite a bit of stuff for us. I expressed the concerns of killing the forbs up at Van Dyke Park, and he came up with a proposal of doing I have an email, but basically spraying in the fall when he can kill the weeds but not kill the forbs. Is what he's saying. He said if he times it right, it'll work. So I thought that was great, because even a volunteer effort on the knapweed at Van Dyke Park isn't gonna really put a dent in it.
They're endless up
I
there.
think just make sure you're coordinating again with Public Works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What are they called, Luke? Bear
we-
Tooth cleanup days?
We call them, we have Trail Work Tuesdays, and they run from, basically the last Tuesday in May, through beginning to middle of September, and then they're ad hoc after that. And then, we also usually do one Saturday a month, like a full day, because the Trail Work Tuesdays are just 5 to 8, and Virtue Trails puts them out on their website or social media, usually as soon as we find out where we're gonna go. And then after we spend about 4 to 5 weeks in town, then we go where the energy goes, and right now the energy is to build trails up on Red Lodge Mountain. So we go up the mountain, we usually build there all summer, we come back into town occasionally. If there's volunteers like, I don't really want, I'm not a mountain biker, I don't wanna hike the mountain, but I do wanna go work on this, then we'll be like, hey, is there anybody else that feels the same way, and we'll send a little group to go work on other projects. But that, yeah, that's always at our disposal. Those guys are always looking for stuff to do.
Resources.
Yeah, and it's, we're talking, there have been times when I've seen 20-plus volunteers, and that many volunteers can mow through big jobs at that point, it's almost like you're like a manager trying to run it, because people are standing around and starting to drink beer already. You're like, hold on, don't drink beer till like 6:30, you know? So we go from 5 to 8, so anyhow, if you guys are ever like, hey, we got some projects, just reach out to me and we'll get it. But that first 5-week window is dedicated. We don't go on the hill until we feel like we got, because that's our thing, right? It's like, the organization has basically tried to work on stuff that's closer to downtown Red Lodge, and then as that stuff starts to be fixed, or we feel like that we're on top of it, then we'll expand out from there. You know, like, but the mountain's not our goal. It's really for people who need to walk and kids in the local area. So those things come first.
So you guys start on the 19th?
We're starting 26th of May.
Okay, I'm just sending an email to our group as a reminder.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's crazy.
Okay,
Okay.
let's move on. Anything else on the ambassador report?
No.
Okay. Future agenda items, anything want brought up?
Do you have a future agenda item?
I do not.
You're just here still, Michelle?
We tabled our,
Or should
finance,
We
lots
tabled
of our,
Okay, okay.
We tabled the, park guidelines till June. Also, I've got a email today from Rebecca at the Historical Society. And her and Merv Coleman have been looking at the idea of the possibility of getting National Historic Site designations for a couple of our parks, Lions Park and Finn Park. They have a presentation they'd like to bring to us.
Great.
They wanted it on this agenda. I said, no, we're not gonna do it on this agenda.
Thank you.
But, it's gonna be June, so we'll have that, brought to us in June. Anything else? Do you have a motion to adjourn?
No,
Whoa.
you have citizen comment on matters at the bottom.
Good deal. All right, citizen comments. Oh, you? Are you a citizen?
I'm also a citizen, and I would just like to make a comment, and kind of realign expectations, as far as my role as mayor, and also the role of staff. But one of the things we do is there's all sorts of conversations that are happening almost real time and spur of the moment in all sorts of situations. We're trying to break down barriers and nudge people the direction that we think is good for the city. In fact, this particular project was something when they originally came to us.
What project?
The trail donation. The question was, are we gonna donate this to the city, or are we gonna donate this directly to, just to Beartooth Trails? My gut reaction the first time was donate this to Beartooth Trails so we don't have to deal with this quagmire. The second part of that was the city really needs to be a part of this conversation. And so we brought it to the city, and my 2 cents is, as I look at how it has morphed and how it's changed and how we've addressed the concerns, I'm really glad we brought it to the city. Now, I said, we're still not done. One of the things I will tell you from council's perspective, having been on council and knowing our council, they're gonna wanna see some things like engineering reports that say the city is not taking on a risk, or an undue risk. I mean, nothing is obviously more of a risk than zero, but I expect that there's still gonna be some things there. But I wanted to manage the expectation that if the understanding is that all of these conversations are only going to happen at a planned public meeting in front of this board, that's not a realistic expectation as we're trying to do.
But then I think there needs to be some sort of check and balance. Like, I had no idea what Steve was talking about. I had no idea what Paula was talking about. I have no idea what changed. Like, what are they talking about?
And I don't know, because what they described was never in the presentation from day one. I mean, that was not part of what was there.
And I guess at that point, Nick did a good job, and he was answering exactly as he should. This is a city, it's not for this, and that was my point, is like, we shouldn't be trying to answer these things. We shouldn't even be, I'm feeling that this is directed at me based on what I said, and my point is just that we don't know.
Yeah.
And that's not.
The proposal.
Right, exactly, and that's what I mean.
And I do appreciate, there is a thing for the decision-making board, specifically council members, there is a thing called ex parte communication.
Right.
And what you do is you declare, and so I very much appreciated that Roger said, I met with so-and-so and I met with so-and-so, and I think that's appropriate in conversations. And I will say, and I met with O'Neill and I saw this, but the pushback of, well, how come we weren't invited to that meeting? I don't think that's a
I wasn't
fair
saying that, how
expectation.
come we weren't invited? I guess my concern is that if there's something that we should know ahead of time, then it should be shared with the group,
Some of these, and some of these conversations, I mean, literally, we talked with, and it was a conversation I've had multiple times, and due to the nature of public office, I always try to make sure that either Roger, there was another, issue that came up with some questions on McGillen Trail the other day. And I will always do my very best to try to snag somebody and get out there so that there's multiple voices, so that it's never a he said, she said, sort of situation. But I just want to say, and we'll let you know as quickly as stuff becomes available, but there's also claims that come up and it's like, I have no idea where that came from.
That's exactly my point, is that one person saying that, but somebody up here is saying that, like, we don't know, especially with him not actually being present, we don't know how to answer those things. So how, like, are we just gonna spend an hour going back and forth in regards to O'Neill said this?
I mean, Nick heard the criticism and he evolved his proposal to address their.
Yeah, I think he did a
complaint.
fantastic job, yeah.
I think it was answered. I don't know that.
And in fairness, I almost thought they had a frustration. Well, we came to complain about X, and apparently X isn't on the table anymore.
That's almost what it was.
But I guess I don't even know what X, I'm just saying I don't even know what X was.
Well, he had a concern that he thought there was a requirement that the landowner was dictating that we were gonna carve a Z through the middle of the city park to do it. And that was never.
Well, no.
That's not true.
That's right.
I can have some clarification.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
You were there.
Good point.
do we need to be discussing this in the meeting?
I'll leave that to the chair. I just wanted to say, if there's concerns about transparency, please address them and bring them up, but also let's have realistic expectations, because there is a lot of negotiations and conversations that we have to move, in this case, a donor towards something that was acceptable to the city.
Well, and if two or more are gathered, then we're having a meeting that we have to advertise.
I think it's 3 or more.
Okay.
Quorum.
But I'm just saying, if you don't want to have a meeting, then you're gonna be talking to Rod, you're gonna be talking to Roger.
Right,
You're
and I'm not saying
going
to fill us in, I guess the reason that it feels sensitive tonight is because we were voting. I'm not saying, I don't need to know everything about what's everything, and it just felt like there was something that was frustrating to what people were sharing.
And I'm certainly going to encourage council members to watch the whole meeting just so they have an awareness. And I think it's fair to say, here's a our recommendation is this, but you know what? Make sure you guys get information about this. I thought that was perfect. I didn't have zero concerns of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to have you be attacked, but I guess I felt a little bit attacked, and I just wanted to realign expectations. I have meetings and conversations every day that are not, what was the show?
Well, I've been in other meetings too that this whole group hasn't been in. It was less about that, more about if there was something that we needed to know or that might influence, or are we talking about something that actually doesn't
And that's why I asked
impact the vote?
if you wanted me to share kind of the latest, and I hope I was able to answer the question as it was posed. But.
You know what?
Yeah.
Do we want, I have more information on this.
Well, I
feel
think,
like it
did
needs
we
to be in the
adjourn the
meeting.
meeting?
Yeah,
I think we should
adjourn.
adjourn the meeting, whoever wants or feels like they can stay. And maybe this just, maybe I just don't need to